your question.
All right, let me slow it down. Love, family, and friends. Do we have these things as Black people?
Well, what is love? We first define what love is, and we define what family is, and we define what friends are. Well, it depends on what you're trying to produce and whether or not you have it in order to produce it, in order to produce what? Constructive results. So what is love? Well, different people got different ideas about it, but according to the code, you can't have love without justice. Love and justice are one and the same. So what is justice? Guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. So if love and justice are one and the same, and you don't have justice because it's impossible to have justice in the system of white supremacy, that's impossible. That's not going to happen. You have to get rid of the system of white supremacy in order to have justice, guaranteeing that no person is mistreated and guaranteeing that the person that needs help the most gets the most constructive help. That's not going to happen in the system of white supremacy because it's not designed to produce that. So you can't have justice, therefore you can't have love. Now, family. Let's look at what Black people are on the planet, wherever they are on the planet, called Earth, in 2022, April. Black people are prisoners of war. Prisoners of war can't have families. Why? Because they're prisoners of war. They don't have a family. Now, prisoners of war, there are some people who are in what they call prisoners of war who are right now. They are listed as prisoners of war. All right? By somebody who says that they are prisoners of war, and they say it. And they say they have families. But what's a family? Well, a family, for one thing, can go and come as they please. And nobody will harm them. No harm is coming to them. They can communicate with each other, and they can help each other real easy and get plenty of help in the process of helping each other. That's what a community is. A family is just a small community. Black people are not part of a community. They don't have the means of helping each other because they don't have anything except the warden lets them have. That's Black people. So Black people don't have families. They're not members of families. They're just prisoners of war, that's all. You cease being a member of a family when you're a prisoner of war. Why? The prison master decides family is going to get and not going to get. So the family is treated just like anybody else. Whatever the wardens say. You go here, you go there. You go down the river, you go up the river. See, the same system that we call the system of white supremacy is the same system that we call slavery. Slaves have nothing. They're just slaves. That's all that they are. And some of them, you might say that, oh, but hey, you got Black people who are zillionaires and all that. So slaves. You had Black people that were in the big house wearing fine clothes that they got some of the clothes that the doorman or the coach driver would be better than any white person had who was a sharecropper or a farmer or a bricklayer during slavery. But he's still a slave. You can dress up a monkey or a dog. They have dog shows. We need to think about how things really are. That's what I mean by if you don't understand white supremacy, you're not going to understand nothing. Everything's going to be strange to you. And what's worse, you're not going to even know that it's strange to you.
Everyone is just so devastated.
This trio was very close to 27-year-old Christian Obumseli and his girlfriend, who they've identified as 25-year-old Courtney Clenney, an OnlyFans model and Instagram influencer. So when police reported that Obumseli was fatally stabbed by Clenney on Sunday inside their Miami apartment, the friends were left speechless. They portray a very violent relationship at the hands of only one person.
I've seen her hit him. I've never seen him hit her.
Greetings, everyone. Welcome to CRWS Counter Racist. The Counter Racist business meeting on.
I would play him in the final.
X this one out. Attempted Counter Racist business meeting on the Christian Obumseli and Courtney Clenney case, or shall I say terrorist attack incident. I'm going to read a little bit from this article here. This article is not the reason why I wanted to do the broadcast, but what she did, racist, white supremacist Courtney Clenney, what she did after killing victim of racism Christian Obumseli, what she did after is why I thought I should bring this some more victims' attention. So let's read a little bit. OnlyFans star Courtney Clenney is seen covered in blood, being questioned by cops next to her two dogs moments after stabbing her boyfriend to death in their Miami apartment. Covered in blood of the boyfriend she just stabbed to death, OnlyFans model Courtney Clenney can be seen shivering on the balcony of her Miami apartment while being interviewed by police in a harrowing new video. Courtney Clenney, known as the subscription service, known on the subscription service as Courtney Taylor, stabbed her boyfriend Christian Obumseli in the shoulder amid a struggle at their Miami condominium on Sunday, police said. Obumseli, 27, was rushed to a nearby hospital where he died from his injuries. The influencer, who has not been formally charged in her boyfriend's death, was hospitalized over mental health concerns after making suicidal threats while in police custody. Police said her current condition remains unknown. Investigators are working to determine if Clenney, whose neighbor alleges was abused by Obumseli, acted in self-defense. Of course, they have to have that in here. I think it was the other article that mentioned it. But after this racist white supremacist killed the person who thought that he was in love with this racist, after she killed him, she posted on her OnlyFans account. It says it here. This is the article right here. Let me put it back on the screen. Because in the system of white supremacy, death of Black people, to some racists, I suspect it gives them huge sexual gratification, despite them being a male or a female. A racist is a racist, despite whatever genitalia is attached to the racist. So let's read a little bit from this one. Model 25 stabbed boyfriend to death, then posted racy keyword. Let's just decode this word right here, racy. We're in a system of white supremacy. So there's a few videos that are not racy, if you ask me. But I suspect the suspected racist behind this article may be attempting to say, or he may be meaning something like hypersexual, something like that, something that probably involves sexual content. Anyways, then posted a racy video on her OnlyFans page. So she killed her boyfriend and then posted porn, basically. Basically what happened. An OnlyFans model allegedly killed her boyfriend before a saucy So these words, not calling it accurate. What was it, a porn video or not? I don't know what a saucy video is. Don't know what that is. Was posted on her adults only account. So yeah, it sounds like it's pornography. Courtney Clenney, 25, has been arrested after being accused of stabbing Christian Obumseli last weekend. And we just see them together. And this is why I will continue to say, and why I think there's tons of evidence where safe to believe that if you are a victim of racism and you think that a racist white supremacist can love you on a planet where love doesn't exist, can be your partner, romantic partner, whatever that means, your complementary half on a planet where they have a system designed to keep you on a pitiful position in comparison to them. I think there can be any sort of balanced relationship. Safe to say, with that kind of thinking, you're on a path to greater confinement, death, or being raped over and over by a white person while you think it's sex, while you think it's your girlfriend, while you think it's just, rough sex or just having fun, trying new things. It's just rape. And I'm going to read from the word guide a little bit later, just so I can hammer that point in. There's no such thing as a white person having sex with a non-white person. It's always rape. The white person is always raping the non-white person, because that's how the system has, that's just the way the system has been set up. So what was I going to say after this? Oh yeah, so I want to talk about how did this victim end up in this predicament, being slain by this terrorist, by this racist terrorist, Courtney Taylor. Here she is, by the way. Oh no, here he is, totally confused. But here is the racist terrorist, and this is the power of racist man and racist woman. Some people are trained, most of us have been trained to be attracted to this sort of psychopath, this creature we see on the screen here. But if we are aware of the system of white supremacy and somewhat learning about what it is and how it works, we will not be fooled by the deception fed to us in this manner here. This is not attractive to me. This is actually grotesque. This is this is racist propaganda. And tragically here, we will see its effects on our psyches, because not only are we exposed to what we know as, bombshells, so-called sexy white woman through entertainment 24/7. When we're fed this programming 24/7, I'm going to give an example of the kind of thinking it produces. All right, get this one back on the screen. All right, so here we have the victim who was killed by Courtney, racist white supremacist terrorist. And then he's want a white girl, help. I can teach a white girl a little bit about the African culture, when the beautiful white girls wear yoga tights, white girls wearing white booty shorts everywhere. Now that's what I like. LOL, I love white people. Shit, me too, girl. Full of ignorant black women. Akata, I've been led to believe this is a incorrect term to use, and it's against non-white people, particularly black people. Could be incorrect though. Why is there always that one ghetto black boy in the back talking to class? Get out, chill. The way black girls disgrace themselves on TV. Once again, I'm tired of these black girls in my government class. So simultaneously, as the system is training us to worship people who look like this, to be so hypnotized by people who look like this, it is at the same time training us to despise people who look just like ourselves. It's training us to be in conflict with Black people, especially if we are Black ourselves. We have to view ourselves negatively because that's how this war is maintained. You have to keep non-white people not focused on white people at all. Because if you're focused on racist men and racist women, and these people can only be white, if we are focused on them, I think we would be able to see what they're doing to us and what they have been doing to us for quite some time. But because they mastered the system and mastered how to train us and condition our behavior, we have victims such as Christian Obumseli being programmed to his literal destruction. He was programmed to his demise. And I've been saying it, I will continue saying it. If you think being in the bedroom with a white person is a good idea, death, the psych ward, or what's the other, death, the psych ward, or greater confinement is what you can find yourself in, I suspect, 99% of the time. And I'm gonna pause my mic there, see if any of the other hosts would like to chime in. Well, one second. Before that, I want to discuss her one more time. I want to reiterate that after she killed her victim, she posted a porn video on her OnlyFans account. Now, she has not been charged for killing her victim. She has not been charged for this. But this is racism and white supremacy, and it's like 101. You're supposed to be able to get away with killing Black males, especially if you're a white woman, especially if you're a white person in general. But this is what it means to be white. You're supposed to be able to get away with killing Black people. And you're supposed to get pleasure from it, great pleasure from it. I suspect she's not suffering mental illness. I don't think any white person is suffering so-called mental illness. I think she's a racist psychopath. I mean, not a psychopath, just a racist. And I'll pause there and see if folks want to chime in.
There were a few terms that I wanted to define, or one of the definitions of racy, saucy, African culture. What do these terms mean? They're not in the word guide. Well, I think African and culture are probably in the word guide, but per Merriam-Webster's dictionary, one of the definitions of racy that stood out was risque or suggestive. And for saucy, impertinently bold and impudent, and also amusingly forward and flippant. So why did the author of this article choose to use those words? And why did the now deceased victim choose to say the word African culture and teaching a white person who I suspect is a white supremacist? Why is he a victim thinking that he is capable of teaching a white supremacist suspect? African culture. What is African culture? We're not supposed to use the term African because there are no Africans in this system. An African would be a person who produces justice, who is not in a system of white supremacy. So what did he mean by that? And now he's not here to ask that question. So I just found those terms interesting, and that's what stood out to me.
Yeah, the confusion that was experienced by Christian is quite apparent if one has an understanding of the system, especially if they're using these sort of combination of words. I think this is a clear indication of the self-hate programmed into us, and particularly to this victim, and they're also the worshiping of white people, white concepts, and white things is also what I can derive from this Black male stringing up these combination of words and being in a tragic, a terroristic arrangement with Courtney Taylor. I'm not just gonna use her. I'm just gonna probably use her porn name and her non-porn name because I don't care. So whatever my brain's gonna compete first. So yeah, but yeah, this person. This article says that there's a history of domestic abuse, and a lot of their associates are saying that it was only her abusing him. So that's just more evidence and just a behavior pattern that we can detect in these sort of arrangements with whites choosing non-white people to abuse. So she was allowed to abuse this male over and over, sort of like a person abuses a animal, you know, like we see disturbed children abusing their pets sometimes. That's what is happening in those terroristic arrangements with they call them interracial relationships, but I'm gonna say terroristic arrangements. That person, that Black male, that Black female is no more than a pet person in the eyes, in the mind of that racist. And they're going to treat that person very similar like they would treat a highly valued pet. There's no such thing as a correct relationship between a white person and non-white person. And while we are in a system of white supremacy, white people have all the power and they have placed us in a very, very, very pitiful and powerless position. So the dynamic is always going to be off until there's a system of justice balance between people. So when we think we could go to bed with these people, we have to understand that in their minds, we are nothing more than a pet they're having sex with, a pet that can talk back to them, a pet that can form somewhat complex thoughts, but not complex enough to be in bed with a white person, because that is ultimate danger. And one of the most dangerous things you can do is think you can receive love or, you know, like correct affection from a racist suspect, AKA anybody white. So I hope what I'm saying is being computed and understood by the folks listening. And I'm gonna pause there.
I had a few interesting conversations about this tragic arrangement, and I understand that we have been trained and programmed by a racist man and racist woman to focus on the victim in this situation instead of the predator, instead of the racist woman in this situation. And I would like for us to ask ourselves, why do we do that? Why do we focus? I mean, outside of the programming and training, why do you continue to focus on the victim? It saddens me. It really does. That the focus is, no matter what's going on, the focus is always on the non-white person. And yes,
we're not afraid of the victims. So that's why we can focus on them. We are afraid of racist men and racist women, so we don't want to bring our presence or bring our awareness or our eyeballs anywhere near them. I may be
correct. But I was asking that question. Hopefully, you know, other victims out there could, you know, think to themselves, why am I focusing? But thank you for answering, most definitely. And Black males they experience domestic violence, and because of their pride, they don't let anybody know what's going on. And that's tragic. Yes, Black males do experience abuse. Yes, they do. I mute my mic.
Yeah, and tragically, due to Christian being so confused and attached to this racist, there's a concept introduced by Newly Fuller Jr. First time, last time. The first time you are harmed by your care mate, cellmate, whatever you're calling them, boyfriend, girlfriend, whatever you're calling them, the first time, last time, you should leave the arrangement. I know that may be difficult, maybe impossible for some of the arrangements happening on planet Earth, but that should be the logical approach to relationships in general. But this Black male, he was assaulted previously by Courtney. He did not follow protocol first time, last time, and inevitably, he was slain by her, haunted by her. Very, very terroristic incident, and hopefully more motivation for us to understand that it takes two to tango. Racist man and racist woman. There's a joint operation, and even racist child has some say in this business of racism and white supremacy. So I would beg and continue to beg non-white people to suspect all white people who may be able to practice racism and white supremacy, suspect them of possibly being racist. That can save your existence and also possibly minimize a lot of confusion and harm within your existence. Because I think if Mr. Christian had been less confused about racist men and racist women, he would not have been hypnotized by the injected lips, the plastic lips and the plastic silicone inside this Urugu, this suspected racist white person. He would have easily been able to find, not easily, but he would have found a Black female, someone who doesn't have to inject their lips with silicone. But due to the programming of race and white supremacy, and since his birth, he was fed messages to, hey, you are supposed to worship white people. You're supposed to be super attracted to white people. When you see a white person, you're supposed to think that white person is very cool. No matter what, you're supposed to worship white people. Give it the program, and that's the program we get on every channel, on every television station, most songs we hear, and that's the message being computed. Worship white or attack Black. It's one or the other, or sometimes a mix of both. But I think the programming was successful because another Black male has fallen to racist man and racist woman terrorism. And many, 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 many more will continue to perish until the problem of racism, white supremacy has been solved, and we replace the system with a system of justice that guarantees no one is allowed to be mistreated, and those who need help receive constructive help. No one should be getting stabbed and then having the person who stabbed them post porn afterwards to get some sort of sexual gratification from it. No person should have to sit down and discuss such matters on planet Earth, but due to the system of racism, white supremacy, here we are. So I will beg everyone to please go to producejustice.com and get your copy of the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept. So if you get to that effective number who is really going to get white people, racist men, racist women to help us to produce a system of justice, or just kill all the Black people, because I'm really sick of the Christian Obumseli and the Trayvon Martins and George Floyd. I'm really tired of us being picked off one by one. Just get rid of all of us in one big swoop, or stop torturing us in this manner forever. Simple request, I think. And I think I'm out of notes. The floor is open.
I was just reminded by someone's comment in the on YouTube about toys, and obviously, you know, after she finished with him, she broke her toy. White people will always break their toys, and we are toys to them. I mean, my mic.
Yeah, thank you, Brandon Williams, and Still Learning, and Taiwan Sessions, and Toniac, and Tevin for participation in the chat. Yeah, that was Brandon Williams. He said, or a toy, you're just something to play with until they're bored with you. Precisely. Forgot what scholar said it, but animatrons, you know, that's what they made non-white people, sort of like robotoys with that exist to be used by racist men and racist women for whatever nefarious, whatever they want, literally whatever they want. Yeah, it's super tragic. And
as long as the system of racism, as long as the system of racism, white supremacy continues, expect more stories like this. It won't be the last one.
Certainly will not be. And let's look at the comments. Comments are always very telling. And again, I think I should just looking at these pictures and inspires me to discuss how racist men and racist women have trained most of us to be very so-called superficial people. But I would just describe that and explain a superficial person as a person who has been trained to think and act in a manner that, hey, I just want a bunch of material things that cost a lot of money. I want a lot of cool brands to wear. I want expensive clothing, and I want to look pleasant. I want to look pleasant to other people. And that's what I'm seeing here. I may be in error, and maybe this is just everyday clothing, or maybe these people have been trained to be very materialistic and very trinket seeking and showing off behavior. But the comments are always very interesting. It says, put some damn clothes on, not guilty. Let's stop calling these people stars. They're anything but. That's very logical. And every election has a, I'm just gonna read the ones that stand out. Enjoy prison. I hope she gets prison and death penalty if possible, but I doubt it. Yeah, this one right here really was a common theme I saw when looking at the comments. Not sure who to feel sorry for here except the poor innocent dogs. And whenever you see a Black person dying and there's some sort of mention of a dog, you're gonna see comments like this, because in the system of white supremacy, best believe dogs have more value than Black people. So this is very common. I'm sure if this is not the only comment involving a person feeling sorry about the dog. Yeah, here's another one. They made their choices having a volatile relationship, but those poor dogs are now going to be put in kennels, and I feel for the unsuspecting animal victims. You know, unsuspecting animal victims. Most non-white people are unsuspecting people victims, but no sympathy is being shared with us. But hey, I'm not confused. I know we're in a system of white supremacy, and people have been conditioned to not really care about non-white people classified as Black unless they are benefiting from our existence or suffering in some way, shape, or form. So yeah, this does not shock me. comments? All righty. I hope the takeaways from this broadcast is people will stay out of the bedroom with white people.
Wait a minute, 05.
Huh?
I don't know how to put these two together, but it's very interesting that this happened. And then on April 1st, a Black male victim wrote an article about how Black females, women, should date or marry white men. I don't know. There's some sort of connection. The propaganda is being pushed here over there, and you see the result with this situation and others. You know the article I'm talking about, 05?
Yeah, I know. I definitely know the article you're talking about. Let me just bring the article because it's definitely connected, related.
Yeah, because white people are trying to push for Black females to get with white men, and yet this white woman killed a Black male. So what is, I don't know. Something very interesting.
It seems to me that not enough Black females are engaging in tragic arrangements.
That's an observation.
Because when you think about it, the statistics show that it's more Black men married to white women than the reverse. So, and then two, the white men have to ask the Black women to marry them. It's usually, that's how that works. So is it really even in the power of Black women to do that? Remember, Black people are selected, they're not doing the selection.
Correct. That's true. That's very true.
Yeah, I think this article is promoting, yes, gutter sex, rape sex, incorrect arrangements, because could be what misconstructive action items mentioned, or it could just be, hey, they were running the racist numbers and they would like to see more Black females being raped by white men, racist. So let's get that started up. Let's get that ramped up 2022 and onward. So,
and it's interesting how white men, they get blamed, like the focus is on them when it comes to racism. Oh, they're practicing it, this, that, and the other. Not white women. It's always, the focus is on white men on practicing racism, but yet the propaganda is Black females, you need to marry white men. But I thought they're the ones who were practicing racism. So why would you try to push or try to promote that? Yeah. Very confusing, very, yes, incorrect. Tacky, trashy, and terroristic.
Indeed, and that is the best segue into the United Independent Compensatory Code System concept word guide by Needful Jr. So I'm going to read from 144, the greatest insult. Use this term to apply to all acts of sexual intercourse, sexual play, or anti-sexual intercourse, homosexual or lesbian activity. And I should say that sexual play, homosexual, and lesbian is in quotations. Activity between a white person and a non-white person during the existence of racism, white supremacy. Reason, during the existence of white supremacy racism and according to compensatory counter-racist logic, there is no greater insult to, no greater act of direct racist aggression and no greater act of physical and mental victimization that a white person can commit against a non-white person than an act of sexual intercourse, sexual play, and or so-called homosex, anti-sex, whether mutual or non-mutual. No, the only way that a white person can engage in sexual intercourse and or sexual play with a non-white person without the non-white person being insulted and victimized in every way is for the system of white supremacy racism to have ended before the acts of sexual intercourse and or sexual play occurred. During the existence of white supremacy racism, such acts are an insult to the production of justice, balance between people. So, great insult. And I remember when I first got into this business, and I read that definition, I knew I had found myself in the correct business because it made a lot of sense to me. You know, we are on a planet where non-white people classified as Black are just destroyed by large numbers every single day in a manner of ways, whether it's through famine, whether it's through conflicts created by white people and waged using white people's weapons of war, or whether it's through them training us to drive around and shoot each other, calling it drive-bys, calling it gang culture. The destruction happens 24/7, and for us to be laying down with people who may be responsible for this is absolutely insulting to anyone, and in the very fabric of attempting to produce justice. It's just super incorrect, despicable. White people are aware of what they're doing, and yeah, I suspect some of them know it's rape, because if one is familiar with the text pieces of a puzzle, the one thing Black females will not talk about by Renithia Tate, they will understand and they will know how white people practice sex, especially white men. And from my own experiences, white women, when they're having sex, this is a form of conflict and aggression. You know, it's not, lovey-dovey. It's not, sensual and, gentle. It's rough and violent, because to a white person, sex is conflict, sex is violence. But yeah, I'm not a psychiatrist. I'm just a victim of racism. So from the chat, a number of constructive information being shared. So we have from Still Learning, the interracial con game is a current media campaign to influence the behavior of Black people to support the tenets, goals of racial white supremacy, to weaken the concentrated strength of what would be Black power. Yeah, that I understand what is being said there. Oh wow, okay, so from Taiwan Sessions, I think this is constructive. He says the Honorable Elijah Muhammad basically said that the white woman is the final boss of racism, white supremacy. I'm paraphrasing, of course. And then Still Learning says racist woman is more dangerous than racist man because she operates in the background. She supports the behaviors of racist men and brings forth more suspects called RC. It brings forth more suspects called racist child. Racist woman is stated to have grace and poise to be protected. Yeah, very, very accurate. The final boss is a very interesting way to describe the white woman, but yeah, she is very powerful indeed, and she's the most integral part of the system, because without white women, there cannot be the production of white children. You know, racist men, they know they need their counterpart, the white woman, to keep their business going, but they have mastered their propaganda that leads us to believe that, hey, it's just the white guys who are the problem. You know, the Beckys, the Karens, the the Bellas, you know, they're not that bad. You know, they may go crazy a little bit, but they're not, you know, maintaining the system. Oh yes, they are. They, you know, white men, racist men did not cross those seas, you know, for themselves. And they cross those seas and capture those black people for their white women, you know, for their other half, to keep their business going. So we cannot be confused and thinking that they're not working together to keep us confused and mistreated. Team effort, you know, teamwork makes the dream work. I think white people say that. Okay. Would anyone else like to share, particularly folks we haven't heard from yet? All righty. Well, I appreciate everyone's participation. I have been severely sabotaged by white people since the womb. So I do have what people call a speech impediment, but I don't care. So yeah, well, final takeaways, please. I urge all victims to learn from this, to understand violence, sex, you know, not too, you know, not far away from each other when talking about racist men and racist women. And remember, racist men and racist women, these psychopaths, these people who choose to behave in a very, very deranged manner, you know, these people can only be white. You know, a powerless person as myself, 0526, cannot be a racist because I have been classified as Black due to my brown skin. So I'm not the problem. White people who practice racism are the problem. They're the ones training people to stab each other, and they're the ones training Black people to shoot each other. And we got to focus on them because, you know, I would hope we want to stop the death and destruction on planet Earth. I would hope that we haven't all been convinced to think that having fancy clothes and trinkets is what it means to exist on this planet, is what we need to exist. Because if so, then absolutely pitiful. And I would much rather not exist than to think in such a pathetic way. Anywho, I'm gonna end my comments there and see if folks would like to share some final comments and read from the chat before we close out.
Study the code book, all areas of activity. One of the action items from our Tuesday business meeting was to study the local laws. So be aware of what's around you and practice asking questions and practice listening. So.
Alrighty, and we may be here again tonight. But before we head out, I'm going to go through the chat and I'm going to read from Mawalimu K. Barudi's A Calendar of Revolutionary Daily Thoughts, Nyan Sesam. But first, I'm going to see if I missed anything from the chat that I want to share. And please, everyone, please like, share, and this information. This channel is super sabotaged and nigger banned by the white people who maintain YouTube. So I would much prefer an effective number of non-white people getting this information sooner than later. So please share if possible. All right, so I'm going to read from April 8th from the calendar of Revolutionary Daily Thoughts. And before I read it, I haven't read this. I don't know what it's going to say, but I just want folks to think about the creator of all things that have been created and that exist on this planet. And just think about how everything has been connected for us. We just have to follow the dots. We just have to look and think about what we're seeing just a little bit, and it will all start to make sense. With that being said, I'm going to read from the text. The study of history is the best medicine for a sick mind. Larry Obadell Williams. Unlike some psychological disorders, menticide is reversible. Or historical ignorance and the insanity it brings can be cured. However, there is only one cure: study. Nothing else can bring us health. And although the knowing words of our uncompromised warrior scholars can help start the healing process, it is only through our concerted effort to know, speak, and be an African truth that these words heal. For as the ancestors told us, once positively activated, there's no stronger medicine than the mind. For those of us who want to cure their minds, I would suggest starting with the large, intense doses of The Destruction of the Black Civilization by Chancellor Williams, Classical Africa by Mofi Keti Asante, Nile Valley Contributions to the Civilization by Anthony Broder, The Hushay, edited by Maulana Karenga, From the Heart by Lee Miller, The Mafa and Beyond by Errol D. Robertson, African, Mother of Western Civilization by Yosef A. Ben Johan, Notes Toward an African World Revolution by John Henrik Clarke, The Cultural Identity of Black African by Cheikh Ed Diop, There is a River by Vincent Harding, Wonderful Ethiopians by Drusilla D. Houston, Introduction to African Civilization by John G. Jackson, Stolen Legacy by George G. M. James, African Origin of Biology, Psychiatry by Richard King, Black Woman in Antiquity, edited by Ivan Van Sertima, and My Kabuku, to name a few. Affirm, I study our story daily. And I will add to this list the ISIS papers, Neely Fuller Jr.'s Code Book, Race Code War, and a number of other books. But CRWS signing out. Thank you for your participation. We'll be seeing you again